Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Hillsborough, where we constantly strive to be an open and welcoming congregation to all who seek community and support. We don't worship in one specific way each week, and we don't require that we all adhere to one specific creed or common belief, but rather we are a covenant community, committed to loving and supporting each other, advancing equity for everyone, and fighting for justice in the world. No 2 weeks are the same here, as we have a wide variety of speakers who come to offer us different perspectives and thoughts. If what you hear this week doesn't resonate with you, try again next week. The service will be something different, and it might be more your style. Whoever you are, member, guest, or friend, and whatever reason or purpose brought you here today, either in person or online, we welcome you. My name is Heather Kraft, and I'm the worship coordinator for today's service. As a lay-led congregation, there are a lot of people who do a lot of stuff behind the scenes to make every service happen. So let's please give a big thank you to all of those people.
Thank you.
Whether it's your first time being here with us or your 1000th, we're so glad that you're here. Please take a moment to turn to those near you and say good morning. Today we're going to be hearing from a longtime member of our congregation, Alicia Cooper-Volkheimer, on the topic of ethical spending. I'll tell you a little bit more later. Before we create our time for worship, let's take a moment to share any important announcements. First of all, this is a great time to check your cell phone and make sure it's in worship mode. All of the announcements are on the back of your order of service. They're also available in your e-news, and if you don't get our e-news and you want to, make sure you use the bottom part right here to give your email to our amazing Amy Dark, who will make sure that you get that. Any additional announcements for the good of the community?
I just want to remind y'all that the Songbirds, our singing group, are practicing tonight, and feel free to join us, check it out. If you are interested in singing but you can't make it tonight, let me know and I'll add you to our email list. This practice was rescheduled from last week because, of course, we had the torrential downpour and didn't want to go out in it last week.
Hi, I'm Amy. Speaking for Alicia, the fiscal year 24-25 requisitions need to be turned in by July 15th, which is this Tuesday. So if you have outstanding receipts from purchases made on behalf of UUCH in the previous calendar year, time is up. Get them in, talk to me, we'll figure it out. Thank you.
The RA team is meeting today in the library, I think, unless it's big news for somebody else. After the service, anyone who is welcome, who has ideas about what they want RE to look like, is welcome to attend. And just want to let folks know what's happening.
Hi guys, I'm Kim Freeman, the moderator here. GovCo, our governance council, is having our first meeting of the congregational year tomorrow night here at 6:30. It'll also be on Zoom. We do still have a couple of vacant positions on there. If anybody is even the least bit curious, please let me know. We'd love to have you sit in, see what it's like. Think about if it's something that you might be interested in volunteering for.
Hi y'all. Obviously, we've all heard about the torrential downpours that happened last week. I just wanted to point out that Triangle Mutual Aid, as well as some other organisations, are collecting for those who were displaced and had property damage. I know one person had 5 trees fall in their house. Like, ouch. So if you're thinking about giving, that's good.
If there's no more announcements, Alicia's now going to do our opening words. which are in your order of service to read with her.
This is a responsive reading, so you will read the italicized part. This is Love Invites Us by Anastasia Birosh. We come together to lament with, celebrate with, and care for one another in our community and our world. Because we want to be here with one another, love is not only at the center, but also the opening that invites us to lament, celebrate, and care. Love invites us to honor our interdependence with all beings in the web of all existence. Love invites us to envision a world where all are free from exploitation and the smallest to the largest are protected and nurtured with care and respect. Love invites us to revel in our uniqueness using pluralism as our guide. Love invites us to recognize all beings as sacred and celebrated. Our differences are appreciated and valued. All are equally sacred, regardless of culture, theology, and experience. Love invites us to counter all forms of oppression with justice. Love invites us to dismantle all forms of racism and systemic oppression. All people are worthy of thriving. Love invites us to participate in our individual and collective transformation. Love invites us to cultivate change so that we may grow spiritually and ethically. We know that we are perfectly imperfect and never finished growing. Love invites us to connect by opening our hearts to generosity. Love invites us to willingly and thoughtfully share our time, talent, and treasure. Our generosity connects us to relationships, interdependence, and mutuality. Love invites us to create inclusive, equitable communities. Love invites us to know in our hearts that all people are inherently worthy and have the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. Love invites us to worship together.
We will now create our sacred space by lighting our chalice, the UU symbol for the light of truth that each of us seeks, the light of hope that each of us brings, and the eternal light of love. Our chalice lighter today is Jacob. Our chalice lighting words are "I am only one, but still I am one," by John Angel James. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. Please stand in body or spirit to join in singing our opening hymn, number 157 in the gray hymnal, Step by Step.
Step
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a sharing community where our joys are celebrated, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. Each Sunday, we take some time to reflect on the special happenings that have occurred this week among our members and friends. Some choose to share aloud, while others choose to remain silent, and here we make room for both. After sharing, each person is invited to drop a stone into the vase on the altar, which symbolizes our communal connection and the ongoing collection of our experiences. By taking the time to share and listen, we strengthen the bonds between us. We do not, however, broadcast this part of the service, so if you're joining us online, there will be a short break. We'll be right back. If you would like to share something aloud and you're online, please put it in the chat and let us know if you'd like us to read it aloud, and either way we can drop a stone for you. If you're here in person and you would like to share aloud, please take a moment so that what you share is personal, heartfelt, and brief. When you're ready, please come forward, tell us your name, and share what's in your heart. these things within the heart of this community, both spoken and unspoken, by remaining silent as we consider what has been shared and how we might respond. We will now close this time with Amen and blessed be. Amen and blessed be. Now the RE teacher for the day, Aurora, is going to let us know what we're doing in our religious exploration class today.
We are going to be working on our art walk, and today we're focusing on the UU value of equity.
All right, let's sing our kids to class with the children's blessing. It's in the back cover of your gray hymnal and also in your order of service. I got it in my script.
May your mind be open to the learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart go along and your hands to the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
As I mentioned earlier, our speaker today is Alicia Cooper-Volkheimer. Alicia has been a dedicated member of UUCH for a decade, serving on our governance council for 7 of those years. Since February, she's been working with the Justice team to draft a proposed policy on ethical spending. Today, at the GovCo's request, Alicia will share insights on this important topic and invite your feedback on how we can implement such a policy within our congregation.
Are there products, brands, or stores that you avoid for ethical reasons? Perhaps you've participated in boycotts or in the economic blackout. Have you stopped shopping at stores perceived as rolling back DEI initiatives? Maybe you avoid Nestle or ExxonMobil, Chick-fil-A or Hobby Lobby, Walmart or Amazon, Google or Facebook. On the flip side, are there products, brands, or stores that you go out of your way to support for ethical reasons? Do you ever choose to buy fair trade coffee or chocolate? Have you made the conscious effort to support a local business over a big chain, or sought out Black-owned or women-owned businesses? Maybe you buy products at the farmer's market or through a CSA. Perhaps you look for products with minimal packaging, or products that are made from recyclable materials, or you opt for thrifted and secondhand products instead of buying new. Do you intentionally seek out businesses that pay a living wage and treat their workers fairly? As those questions show, there are so many ways and reasons that we might avoid one business and support another. It really comes down to where our values guide our dollars. On the justice team, we have subdivided our efforts into 3 prongs: earth justice, social justice, and animal justice. Let's think about how ethical spending relates to each of these. First, let's think about our responsibility to the earth. That means consciously choosing goods and materials that minimize our environmental impact. We can look for products with minimal or recyclable packaging, opt for energy-efficient appliances, or choose cleaning supplies that are biodegradable or non-toxic. It also means actively reducing consumption by seeking out secondhand items, repairing what we own, and supporting local farmers and producers to shrink our carbon footprint. Then there's our responsibility to other humans. This is about ensuring fairness and dignity throughout supply chains. It means actively seeking out and supporting businesses owned by women, people of color, and other historically underrepresented groups. We can prioritize vendors committed to fair hiring practices, equal pay, and accessibility for people with disabilities, while actively avoiding businesses with discriminatory practices. It also extends to choosing companies to provide fair wages and safe working conditions, supporting worker-owned co-ops and credit unions, and avoiding products made with child or forced labor. And supporting local small business is another way to uplift our human community. Finally, there's our responsibility to animals. This means making choices that reduce the exploitation and suffering of non-human beings. We can achieve this by avoiding products derived from animal bodies entirely, steering clear of products tested on animals, Or for those who still consume animal products, supporting brands that adhere to higher animal welfare standards like cage-free eggs or pasture-raised meat. Navigating ethical spending can feel quite overwhelming, given the complexities and interconnected issues. What if a choice that helps workers also harms the environment, or vice versa? We constantly need to ask who benefits from my purchases, who is harmed, and are there costs I'm not considering? Perfect choices are impossible, but remember, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Aim to make good choices most of the time. Beneath the surface of every purchase lies a hidden story. So when we pick up something to buy, what are we really paying for? The true cost of that object includes the energy and pollution from getting the raw materials, making it, shipping it, often across the globe, packaging it, and then eventually throwing it away. The process also dumps pollution into our air, water, and land. And then there's the impact on all the beings involved in the process. It's the exploitation of workers at every step, underpaying them, putting them in hazardous conditions, whose lives are commodified. Finally, every purchase we make contributes to a process of supply chain for every single item that we purchase. But understanding the big picture helps us take our choices more seriously. Particularly in the West African cocoa is Ghana and Ivory Coast combined, cocoa farmers earn less than $1 a day, contributing to generational poverty, forced and child labor, and widespread deforestation. Despite child labor being exposed over 2 decades ago, its prevalence on cocoa farms actually increased by 14% between 2008 and 2018. In 2010, a successful letter writing campaign convinced Whole Foods to stop selling Hershey's until the company committed to ending child labor in its cocoa supply chains. In response to this consumer advocacy, Hershey's then promised certification of all of its cocoa by 2020. Hershey's missed the 2020 deadline, extending it to 2025, but it still remains unmet. This brings us to a critical question of our moral responsibility as consumers for injustices occurring on the other end of the supply chain. Does my purchase of a chocolate bar establish a moral connection between me and the child laborer 5,000 miles away? Or should the blame rest with large corporations like Hershey's or with retailers like Whole Foods? While individual consumers may not intend harm to individual child laborers, we are collectively responsible for the systems that our purchases support. Even if our individual impact feels imperceptible, we remain morally accountable for our actions. Some consumers have little choice but to buy the cheapest products, but many of us could afford to pay more for ethically certified products. Those with greater privilege face fewer restrictions and possess more opportunities to align their spending with their values. This means that while all consumers bear some moral responsibilities, our obligations are not necessarily equal. My relative advantage creates a stronger obligation for me to choose a more ethically certified product. Surveys consistently show a widespread desire for ethical products. For instance, a World Bank study in 2004 revealed that 75% of people identified as environmentalists and claimed that they would choose a green product over a problematic one. 75% of respondents also expressed a willingness to pay an extra 25% for a sweatshop-free garment. And yet, when you look at actual market behavior, only a small fraction, 10 to 12% for environmental products and 2 to 5% for sweatshop-free garments, actually make those ethical purchases. This raises questions about the disparity between what consumers say they want and what they actually purchase. Are people misrepresenting their desires in surveys to reflect what they think they should say? Are people unaware that their actions are not aligned with their values? Would their actions be more aligned if more information was available? Are there other barriers that prevent them from following through with their intentions? Perhaps. What's clear is that consumers often offer ostensibly ethical products only when it serves a perceived personal benefit. They might buy a fuel-efficient car to save money on fuel, not necessarily for its environmental benefits. Organic food is often chosen for its perceived health or taste advantages. And likewise, fair trade coffee might be preferred due to a belief in its superior quality rather than a conscious choice to support ethical sourcing. And when faced with a true ethical choice, many people will only buy the more ethical product when it comes at no extra cost, it's from a brand they already trust, is available at stores where they already shop, requires no changes to their habits, and requires no sacrifice in quality. Take vegan cheese, for example. A lot of people who might agree that dairy cows are suffering still do not want to use vegan cheese substitutes. People complain that vegan cheese doesn't taste as good as dairy cheese, and that's true. They don't want to go out of their way to find a vendor who carries a product that costs more, doesn't taste as good, even if they do consider it a more ethical choice. When I was first going vegan, I would choose the vegan option if it was convenient, but otherwise I would settle for what was easily available. I remember a time at a pizza restaurant when they were out of vegan cheese, so I just ordered pizza with regular dairy cheese instead. Nowadays, I would leave and find another restaurant, a choice that demands significantly more effort. But at that time, I valued the convenience more highly. My research into ethical spending has further illuminated these challenges in my life. I find myself quite tied to Amazon, a company that several folks have told me that they avoid for ethical reasons. I subscribe to Audible and Amazon Prime, and I have several Alexas in my house. I use Subscribe and Save for everything from cat food to toilet paper to vitamins. It's so convenient. I can find things on Amazon that I can't find locally, like the British Bisto gravy that G likes, or the specific sizes of fuse that I needed a few months ago. I went to multiple local stores searching for the right fuses, and nobody had them. Since starting this research about ethical spending a few months ago, I've started trying to cut back on my use of Amazon. But despite my intentions, avoiding Amazon is hard for me. In looking for the books that I wanted to read for researching this very sermon, I considered if I could buy them at our locally owned bookshop instead. I planned to stop by after work one day, but it was a Monday, and they weren't open on Mondays. So then I was going to go on Tuesday, but I realized they close at 5 p.m., and I wouldn't be home from work yet. So then my only option was to go on a Saturday for a book that they were unlikely to have in stock anyway, and would need to order, and then I would have to wait several more days for it to arrive. But if I ordered it on Amazon, it would come the very next day, and it would probably cost less too. It's so tempting to go the easier way. In the end, I ended up borrowing the books from the Duke University Library. Yay! I'm still pretty enmeshed with Amazon, but I am consciously trying to explore other alternatives first now. I haven't quit Amazon yet, but I have reached the point where I feel guilty when I use it, and I suppose that's a crucial first step. As individuals, we have to make choices every day between ethics on one side and cost or convenience on the other. The more privilege you have, the easier it is to ignore cost and convenience, and I realize that we don't all have that kind of privilege. I am striving to prioritize ethics when I can, recognizing that I'm not always going to be perfect, but I'm committed to becoming more aware and trying to make better choices. As Maya Angelou wisely said, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Ethical spending is fundamentally a dynamic practice, not a static destination. What was deemed unethical to purchase one year might become an ethical choice the next. For instance, we might boycott a product during a labor strike, only to resume purchasing it once new and fair working conditions have been established. The Mount Olive pickle boycott provides a compelling example of this. Like several of you, before I was a member here at UUCH, I used to be a member at the Eno River UU Fellowship, or EREF, where the congregation participated in the Mount Olive pickle boycott. Mount Olive, the second largest pickle brand in the U.S. supermarkets, became the target of a boycott in 1999. The demand was simple: higher wages and safer working and living conditions for the farm workers picking cucumbers. While EREF initially considered focusing on legislative action to protect agricultural workers, we ultimately chose to actively support the boycott and advocate for unionization, even hosting an office for the National Farm Worker Ministry and helping fund a full-time staff member. This grassroots pressure worked. Pickets and a widespread letter-writing campaign to Kroger led to the removal of Mount Olive products from their stores. Students at Duke University protested, successfully urging campus food services to join the boycott in 2002. The National Council of Churches endorsed it in 2003, and it was the United Methodist Church's strong stance that finally prompted Mount Olive's president, himself a Methodist, to enter negotiations. The boycott successfully ended in 2004 after 5 years when 8,000 farm workers secured union representation and Mount Olive agreed to increasing wages. The company's president admitted that without the boycott, he would not have made such extensive changes. Crucially, when the boycott concluded, we were actively encouraged to resume buying Mount Olive pickles as a way to support the positive changes they had implemented. This demonstrates why ethical spending guidelines must be flexible. We cannot create rigid policies that permanently ban a particular brand based on past practices, as our goal is to leverage our spending to drive positive change and then reward that progress. The success of campaigns like the Mount Olive boycott reveals that we hold immense power when we act collectively. We all know that big issues like climate change, inequality, and animal exploitation will require major policy changes, and that means staying active politically. But political change often happens slowly, and that's where our money comes in. Every dollar we spend is a vote, showing what we value and helping create a better world for everyone, people, animals, and the planet. We can use our spending power, big or small, to do some good, or at least to cause less harm. Of course, our individual spending alone isn't going to fix everything. We absolutely need big policy changes, but don't fall into the trap of thinking that our personal choices don't matter. Companies do respond to what we buy. We don't need to choose between political action or individual efforts. We can do both. We need to keep pushing our leaders, and we need to consciously make sure that our spending matches our values. Corporations want us to believe that they hold all the power. Compared to multinational giants worth billions, we might feel like mere cogs in a machine, but corporations are reliant on a steady stream of our dollars. Without that money, they simply cease to exist. While isolated consumers have little individual power, as a collective force, we hold a lot. Americans collectively spend over $50 trillion a year. Shifting even a tiny fraction of that towards spending that benefits the collective good can make a massive difference. We are more than just consumers. We are powerful actors on the global stage who can pressure harmful companies to reform or perish. We can be a collective force for good if we decide to change our most harmful individual behaviors, even if not all of us change all of our ways. To put that into perspective for our congregation, the average annual expenses for a household in North Carolina are about $65,000 a year. That means our relatively small congregation collectively wields a spending power of approximately $2.5 million every year. But even if our actions didn't result in any observable changes to the market, we should still make the effort. Aligning our actions with our values isn't just about external impact. It's crucial for our own integrity and self-respect. Every conscious choice to spend ethically helps us move closer to who we aspire to be every day. Making choices that are consistent with your values cultivates a sense of authenticity and purpose, regardless of the external world's response. This journey starts with figuring out what truly matters to you, your core values, and how you want to live them. When we align our spending with our ethics, we leverage our financial choices to express those values to the world. Take a moment to think about your values that are meaningful to you. You might start with our UU shared values: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. Other values might also resonate deeply, like compassion, responsibility, service, peace, community, or trust. Now consider how one of those values connects to your beliefs and attitudes. This connection naturally leads to your intentions and ultimately to your actions. For instance, my value of interdependence and the belief that animals are exploited led me to the intention of not contributing to animal suffering, and thus the action of not consuming or spending money on animal products. Think about how you can use your financial capital to promote your values. I come to you today wearing two hats. My first hat is as a member of the Justice Team, where the idea for a congregational ethical spending policy began. From this perspective, I do believe in the power of our personal choices. I want to encourage all of us to be more mindful of how we use our own money, to use it as a force to heal and not harm our world. But my second hat is as your treasurer and a member of the Governance Council. And from this perspective, my focus shifts. While individual spending is vital, my primary concern here is how we as a congregation and institution spend our money. This is where the distinction between personal choice and institutional responsibility becomes critically important. When considering ethical spending, we often face a choice between what we believe is right and what is simply cheap or convenient. And as individuals, our decisions might sometimes lean toward convenience or cost, and that's a reality that we acknowledge. However, we can, and I think we should, expect that the congregation, as a values-driven entity, to uphold a higher ethical standard. Our congregation has a unique responsibility to guide and model ethical behavior for our entire community, inspiring lives of integrity and compassion. Leadership plays a vital role in setting this tone by creating policies that strive for higher ideals while acknowledging practical realities. Ultimately, the impact of these policies hinges on education and ongoing dialogue with all of you. And so I'm genuinely interested in your thoughts on how we can move forward with the idea for a congregational policy on ethical spending. I'd love to hear your priorities regarding which issues we should focus on, as well as your practical ideas for implementation, or even if you think this is a policy that we should pursue at all. Please share any specific suggestions you have for particular products, brands, or categories. For example, if you think we should switch to fair trade coffee. We know that implementing such a policy won't be without its challenges. Questions will arise. How specific should our guidelines be? How do we navigate complex or competing issues? What happens when there's disagreement about a company's ethics? Who would be responsible for monitoring spending decisions? How do we balance ethical ideals with our budget constraints, given that ethical options often cost more? And how could we even begin to trace the entire supply chain for everything we buy? Is it enough to have considered more ethical alternatives, even if we do not ultimately choose them? These are complex questions, and your input will be crucial as we navigate them together. I've created a survey for your responses. It's available online. There's a QR code on the back of your order of service, or there's also some paper copies for those of you who prefer paper. The survey will remain open until the end of the month. Please share your thoughts with me directly or through the Justice team at justice@uuchnc.org. And please fill out the survey. Thank you.
Thank you. Each week we take up a monetary offering to support our social justice work in the community. This support comes in the form of donations. This month, our community partner is the Eno River Association, which really could use some help right now. You can donate by putting cash or a check in the basket I'll be bringing around. Please make checks out to UUCH and put plate in the subject line. You can also donate online by going to our website, uuchnc.org, or scanning the QR code in your bulletin. Please join me in the prayer of collective gratitude found in your order of service. For the love that surrounds us every morning, for the friends beside us, and for the generous gifts just received, let us be truly grateful. Please stand and body your spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 318 in your gray hymnal, We Would Be One. Our closing words are The Courage to Begin Anew by Rosemary Bray McNatt. In this moment of worship, we call to mind those times of failure and regret common to all of us. We remember first, in silence, those times when we have failed to do all that we meant to do, or through our actions, failed to be all we were meant to be. We now recall our moments of integrity, those times we have lived into our deepest values and acted as the human beings we always dreamed of being. We choose at this moment to lay down the burden of our shortcomings and grasp the courage to begin anew. Together, we affirm our capacity for goodness and grace, for freedom and purpose and joy. We are not trapped in our past, but freed by creation to live and grow today. With gratitude, we say, blessed be and amen. Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words printed in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace, my friends, and blessed be.